What's up, y'all? It's your boy Quest. Just wanted to drop this real quick for you. We as married folk, right, have had times where we got into some really bad arguments with our spouses, right? And to some extent, some kind of knockdown, drag out, if you will. And a lot of those arguments was because our spouse said something or did something that served as a trigger for us, and like for real, it just made us livid. And in response to being livid, we raised our voices, we shouted, we screamed, we might have even gone to the extent of throwing stuff. And today I wanted to discuss for real, just processing those fights and regrettable moments, if you will. And give you guys some tips on how to really identify and understand what triggers us in those moments, right? I think one of the things that we really do need to focus on is how we can work on finding out what our spouse's triggers are and avoid doing things that will trigger them or send them left field, right? I think that's one of the most productive things that we can do. So what I want you to do is to have conversations or communicate with your spouse. Have some serious conversations about the things that serve as triggers for each of you and what escalated the interaction or the incident, right? Because sometimes we can say things and do things and really not intentionally mean to make our partner livid, but because that trigger served as something that is really difficult for your spouse, it's that, and then like some stuff that we can't really see in the upfront. It's the unknown really that sends everything into left field, right? So if you could, when you have these discussions, what I want you to do is to put in your own words, right? What escalated an interaction for you? In other words, what served as the trigger? And here's the truth about triggers. These are often old and familiar feelings, right? Something that happened from the past that we never really dealt with, that we really never got the healing for. And whatever your spouse said or did served as a trigger for that thing. In other words, it took you right back to that place and opened up that wound. And then before you know it, you're left field and the argument is getting out of control. But when you have these conversations as it relates to your triggers, I want you to do a couple of things. I want you to ask first and foremost, either ask your spouse what triggered you, or you do the self-work in that discussion and explain what triggered you, right? Now, a lot of the times, well, not a lot of times, if you've ever seen National Geographic, when they start talking about things in Antarctica or the north side of the globe where things are extremely cold. And I learned one time about an iceberg that a lot of the times when you see an iceberg, you're only seeing 10% of the iceberg that sits above the water. There is 90% of the iceberg that sits under the water. And you're saying, well, what does that have to do with triggers, Quest? A lot of the times when we serve as a spouse to our serve as a trigger to our spouse, and we see the anger, the frustration, right, coming back at us, the heat, the smoke, you know what I'm saying, coming back at us. A lot of the times you're only seeing the 10%. You're only seeing the anger coming towards you. You're only seeing the smoke, you know what I'm saying, coming towards you, the frustration. What you don't see, it's what's driving that anger, what's driving that support. And that's a large portion of why you're seeing what you're seeing coming at you. So when you're having the discussions and you're talking about the triggers, right? I want you to talk about what triggered you. I want your spouse to ask you what triggered you. A lot of the times what you will find is that it was triggered by feelings of being excluded, right? I felt unheard. I felt scolded. I felt blamed. I felt unloved. I felt a lack of affection. I felt trapped. I felt like I couldn't speak up. I felt controlled. A number of different feelings might be driving that anger or driving what you're seeing on the forefront. And if we seek to understand more than we seek to be understood, we can really diffuse a lot of the arguments that we face as it relates to triggers, right? So I want you to do two things, right? And under these two areas, I want you to ask two questions. The first area I want you to focus on is understand why these are triggers. I'm gonna say it one more time. I want you to understand why these are triggers, right? And two things I want you to do. Number one, I want you to rewind the story of your life in your mind. And I want you to stop at an incident you remember from your childhood or your past in general, not in this relationship, in which you got triggered in the same way or had some of these very same feelings, right? So I want you to go back in time and find out what was it about this particular situation that was linked to a previous situation before that caused you to feel the way that you did, where this served as a thing that triggered that past situation, right? Make the connection in between the two and have discussions around it, right? Because a lot of the times it's not really your spouse's fault that you got angry. They were just saying a thing and doing a thing, not with malicious intent, but it served as a trigger because there was some healing that needed to take place in that situation that happened before, which allowed what your spouse did now to serve as a trigger. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing I want you to do is to tell the story of that incident, how it happened, what you felt, and then listen to your partner's story with empathy. In other words, put yourself in their shoes, right? What I realized is that hurt people hurt people. But the inverse of that is also true in the fact that changed people change people. And you could be possibly that catalyst for change in this new season of your relationship as it relates to triggers, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing I want y'all to concentrate on, with 2 points under there as well, is figure out how to make it better the next time. Right? We learn from mistakes, right? Some people will say you win some, you lose some, but I don't subscribe to that. I subscribe to the idea or the mindset of you win some, you learn some. So sometimes it's gonna feel like a loss, but it's not a loss if you learn from it, right? So we want to figure out how to make it better next time. How do we do that? Number one, what is one way, right? What is one way that your partner can make it better the next time this kind of incident happens? Let's start discussing around that as well, right? Ask the probing questions that will allow the both of you to think this thing through, right? So that's the first question. And the second question is, what is one way that you can make it better next time, right? So one way that your partner can make it better next time, what is another way that you can make it better next time? So those are the two things that I want you to focus out on in terms of making it better next time and understanding why what you did might have been a trigger. Y'all know what I say, man, from shaky to good, from good to great. Ultimately, what we want is a phenomenal marriage, but phenomenal marriages don't just happen. They take work. So let's do that work specifically on finding out what your spouse's triggers are and learning how to navigate around those triggers, right? Y'all know what I say, man. If you ain't working on your marriage, then my friends, what are you doing? It's your boy Quest, man. Peace. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Quest, man, professional marriage and life coach. Listen, one of the things that we've always tried to do here, or one of the major themes here at the Greenhouse, right, or in the work that I do, is to concentrate on love, lifestyle, and legacy, right? And for the purposes of lifestyle, we wanted to create merch that is consistent with our ideas and beliefs as it relates to marriage. So listen, guys, you can see I got on the Tribe Called Marriage, raglan shirt, Tribe Called Marriage hat, and we have that and tons more merch in the shop. Do me a favor, if you like what we're doing and you like the merch, do me a favor, stop by, get some for you and your wife and support the movement. You feel me? Because if you're not working on your marriage, my friends, then what are you doing? Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Quest. Peace.